because whatever questions that, all right, good. So welcome to today's session, guys. Just in case, I'm not clear whether or not we will actually put up this recording on the e-classroom. It kind of depends on the content that we go through, because this class is not meant to really go through any content, but ready to do a little checkup with you guys to see how things are going. So Rabi Hussein, what were you going to ask?
I think I joined a little bit late, but I think that we have one of us have to remove from group 2.
Yes. The issue is one group lost a member and they're down to 4. So group 2 that you are in, I'm asking somebody from your group to volunteer to go across to another group with Kimberly Bernard, Shirley Lipow, Devon McNeil, and Celeste Wilson. And I believe Wilson, McNeil, Lipow, and Bernard is here. Well, Kimberly is actually not. She's DDA on the system.
Okay.
But she's called Bernard on this system. Kind of weird. She got married. Changed her name. You know why?
Well, I guess we will discuss it within the group.
Right. That's what I want you all to make a choice among yourselves as to which one of you will be willing to make the transfer.
No problem. We'll just keep in contact with you and.
Yeah, you again. That's what the WhatsApp chat is for, and then I can make the necessary changes. We also have the inclusion of Damian Miller, or his proper name on the system is Damian Clouden. He was absent last week, and he's in with us this week, so he needs to kind of get some clarification from the group in relation to what's going on for the group project. That's going so that he could start to contribute to the group activity. So I would encourage the group to try and contact him, make sure that everybody here is in the WhatsApp chat, right? That's a question. It requires an answer.
Yes, sir.
I'm in a WhatsApp chat with our group, but is there a main WhatsApp chat?
Yes, there is a main WhatsApp chat for the entire class.
I think I pressed the link to join it, but there's nothing was in it.
All right, well, let's try it and see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the link in the chat in this class. See if you can make the link there if you're still not in the class. See if you get into the group now. All right, Kimberly. You should see it in the chat. Okay, so yes, Kimberly. You wanted to say something?
Oh no, I got through to it. I was already in
it. So did you see I posted the link for the class today in that link as well? In the chat? I usually try to email it and post it in the WhatsApp chat, depending upon what device you're using. It just makes it easier to link up with the class. If you're using your phone, you just click on that and it'll open up the app in your phone and stuff like that. It's just a matter of convenience. All right. So first off, how is everybody going with the content? I was looking on the e-classroom and I saw some people have attempted the first quiz, but I haven't seen anybody attempt quiz 2 yet. Does that mean you all are having issues or problems, or you're all not sure whether or not you can move to Unit 2? The speed at which you're moving through the content is your pace. Huh? As fast as you evaluate the material in the unit, you can attempt the quiz. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you don't have to wait for me to tell you, okay, go to Unit 2 and that kind of stuff. I've kind of opened everything up for you guys to be able to. Yes, Damien, go ahead.
The thing about it, for me, sir, I went through the what you posted, but when I saw all of it, to be honest, I felt a bit overwhelmed. Like all of this, but it's not that it's a hard thing. It's just I'm trying to pace myself, because if I try to read too many things at the same time, if I had Unit 1,
tackle
Unit 4,
tackle it unit by unit. Kind of earmark for yourself. Okay, now there is a document. Let me show you the document here. In the course outline, it kind of gives you an idea. You're seeing this, guys? Are you seeing the course activity schedule?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
this hours per unit and date is giving you an idea of how you should be moving through the units. All right. Now it's a guide. It's not cast in or carved in stone or anything like that. It's an idea for you to follow those dates to see, okay, I should be tackling this by this time and so on. So by the 23rd, which is this week, I expected that you all should have been finished with Unit 1. Next week, you all should be looking at Unit 4, which is measuring economic performance. That one's a little longer. So if you spill over into the beginning of November, but by the middle of November, you should be tackling Unit 2. It's kind of weird. I went 1, then 4, then back to 2, then 3. That's because of the nature of how the course is designed. It's the units aren't in sequence. So you'd see that the bigger units that are assigned 2 weeks, it gives you a guide. It doesn't mean that you absolutely nail down to that, but the idea is that if you use the schedule, it will help you to make a determination of how you're going through with the content and the deadline dates for certain elements of it. And along the way, we're looking at November for you to submit your assignment 1, research assignment. So if we go to the e-classroom now, so I was looking at the groups. You all will give me some feedback on the on the group changes. So these items here is where you're going to be uploading, checking your Turnitin ratios, and then this is where you're going to upload. So this is where you're going to upload your assignments here. This is Unit 1 and the introduction session here. This is a recording from the last class. The second recording will come right under this this class if it goes up. This quiz here, as I said, I saw that there are 21 attempts in the class, and I know there are 25 people, so there should be more attempts. I'm not going to go through the names, but I have a graphical layout here. And a question I want to ask is, I kind of noticed a bit of a strange thing, that most people did their attempts at the quiz almost immediately. Well, that's not the idea. The idea is that if you make an attempt and you get a score, let's say you get a score like this, between 3 to 4 out of 10, you need to review the material before you make a second attempt, or else you're gonna run the risk of not being able to try and get a score of 10 or 9 for that matter, 90 to 100%, which is the objective. So I would recommend that that you review the stuff before you do your second attempt. And of course, the quiz tells you, when you click on the quiz, it'll tell you how many attempts you have. So this first quiz, I gave you all 3 attempts with that. So I know some people, I can tell who has done it and who hasn't done it. And I'm not going to call out anybody in class here, but for those of you who know you haven't attempted the quiz yet, you need to look at this Unit 1 presentation here. You could look at these YouTube links here and then attempt the quiz for that area. And then when we go to measuring economic performance, then you look at the PowerPoint here, go through that material, try and get some further clarification by going through some of these videos. There is a textbook. So if you go to the course outline, the textbook kind of gives you readings for the areas that you're looking for. Does it? Oh, these are the assignments. Ooh, the readings are missing. I'd have some work to do. All right, so I know what I'll do. I'll put the readings in the So what it'll do, it'll tell you what chapter and page that you're going to. on the e-classroom. All right. All right. Somebody's coming in. Yes, Damien. Damien, because I can't see the screen, don't worry to put up your hand. Just open your mic and start to talk.
All right, cool. Just want to say thanks because that was my question coming and you answered it. So thanks because when you look at it, you're going to outline which chapters to read. So I think that would make it easier now going through as into where I need to go to start my journey. So thanks.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll put readings in each unit. So I'll link the readings for the textbooks that you have up here. The main text is going to be the Slumana, this economics 6th edition textbook here. All right, that makes sense. The others are more like reference text. All right, so you could download the textbooks and utilize it, but you're free to utilize other resources if you want to. Okay. Now, the reason why you have both micro and macro textbooks up here is because this course is a general course in economics, and therefore it's going to cover topics that are both micro and macro. Like, for example, measuring economic performance is primarily a macroeconomic phenomenon or macroeconomic activity that we get into. Because in order to make decisions in the economy, we have to look at what the measurements are in the system to be able to make some determinations as to what might be the best, what's happening in the economy, and therefore what we need to be doing to correct things if there are problems with it. So that's why up to about so unit 1, 2, and 3 are more micro, then 5, 6, and 7 are macro. So you can have 4 is a crossing over. Unit 4 is really macro, but it's more of a measurement issue, national income and so on, which is where we look at how we go about measuring that economic performance. Or maybe you all took in the budget speech or read up on the budget. Nobody? All right, so you guys should be starting to look at these assignments in terms of answering them and submitting your responses. Online discussion. So this is another thing I wanted to start to see some submissions for. Now this is not for marks, but it's designed to help you to get your where's that online discussion? Here it is. The discussion forum. What I want you all to try to do is to respond to these questions here. Where are the questions? All right, these questions here. With the use of diagrams, differentiate between binding and non-binding. Answer these questions in a file and then upload it into the discussion forum and let other people look at your work so that you could get an idea if you're on the right track or not. I will be looking at it and giving you some guidelines as well, because these are straight from your first assignment. So this is sort of like a dry run. You can do it. So the instructions really is that you would provide responses and then critique one of your colleagues' work. But it requires that you put up your stuff and start getting on with that. Now, what I should have done is given you all a date, but the idea is you should get this done early o'clock rather than later, because as I said, this is your very first assignment, the individual assignment. These are questions taken out of that for you to kind of get some feedback to see how you're going. Remember, when you're posting it, it needs to be cited as well properly. So that's why I'm saying maybe you could PDF the document and put it up in the group so it doesn't get messed up when you upload it. All right, everybody's following up?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's it in relation to the first assignment that you have due at the end of November. Now, don't go panicking if you're not getting you feel like you're running out of time, okay, just let me know what's happening, and I could, let things organize from there. All right. So now we also have the next assignment, which is the journal assignment or the articles assignment. You have to find an article and I have to approve the article for you to be able to do some analysis on, and the article must be something related to economics. And you're looking for an article that has at least 2 economic concepts in it. So as we recently had a budget speech, there's a great likely in the last 6 months we would have had some good articles coming up in relation to things about it. So that's something that you might want to look into, but you need to start reading and looking for stuff to make a link with it. All right. So again, don't wait for the last minute to find articles. And of course, in your groups, if you find an article, you could also share the articles with each other, because you more than one student could use the same article. It doesn't matter because everybody's doing it on a personal basis. All right. And then we have the unit quizzes. They're all open from now until the 30th of January. You have at least 2 attempts for each quiz. Some quizzes, as I said, have more time. And basically what we're going to be doing is looking at this is going to count towards 30% of your final grade. All right. And that's basically what you have to do for the quizzes. So every time you do the quiz, as I said, be careful with your quizzes, because it might be each individual quiz might look like a little bit, but they really count for a total of a fair amount of your marks coming along at the end there. Just want to hear some clicking here. Somebody just came in. Nope, everybody's here. All right, and that then brings us to the group project, which is divided into 2 areas. You have the you have an oral presentation and the actual written paper. So basically, you kind of have to complete the written paper and then extract a presentation out of it to present to the class. So the group project itself is going to be 20. The written project is 20%. The presentation is 10. So what you're doing is you're going to be completing a country analysis and economic analysis of a country. That's why you all have to choose choose a country that you want to be able to do, and then you start looking at evaluating these questions. So the way you're choosing it is to find countries where accessing the data is relatively straightforward, and that you can trust the data that you're getting, because that's the other element you have to look at. So you have to look at citable sources of data, that reliable sources of data that you can get, especially where you have to download data like inflation and trade, exchange rates. You also have to get national income data as well. Yes, national income, unemployment, and inflation. And then you also have to look at the trade aspect of the country. And that way, when you're doing the write-up is going to be marked separately from the presentation. And the presentation, we're looking at you answering all the questions. Included in that is an introduction and conclusion for the project. So I want you guys to read this through, make sure you understand what you're doing. And that's why I'm asking if you have questions. That's what I'm really calling this class, to see how you're going in terms of what's happening in the classroom at this point in time. Are you guys having any issues or problems?
Hey, so Ravi Hussein.
Yes, sir.
So for group 2, remember, I will move across to group 4.
Group 2. All right. So you can see about that now. So you will drop out of this group.
Correct, yeah.
Ravi who?
Hussein?
Hussein. All right. And then we'll add you now to group 4.
Yeah.
All right. So you'd have to touch base with these people,
Mm-hmm.
and they are looking at that's. Oh, sorry. Right. Group 4 is looking at France, China, and England. Is that
Okay.
right? Okay. Has any group
Thank you.
made a decision as to which country they want to focus their attention on? I take it no.
No.
All right, guys. You can't wait for too long. You have to actually start getting more pointed with your activities. All right. So I was asking a general question. Shirley, I see your mics are open. You wanted to say something?
Oh no, sir. I just wanted to answer the question. Well, so far I just kind of focusing on reading and getting to understand
All right.
the economics and what it is about. So hopefully soon I'll be ready to try at least quiz one.
All right. Did you like that first presentation that I did in terms of the overview?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And
Unfortunately,
I
not
like
all
all
of them are like that. Okay, that
yeah,
took me hours and hours to do.
I like the links that you put because I've been going through the videos, which helps to give a better understanding. So I'm reading and looking at the videos to kind of help me.
Right.
So,
And
you
don't be
know,
afraid. That's why, as I said, the first quiz I gave you all 3 attempts.
yeah.
So the idea is, have a look at the quiz, make an attempt, and see how it feels to you. And that way you could, you know, you don't have to be panicked by it because you have more than one opportunity to try and get it. But if you feel uncomfortable with the questions or the material, then you really haven't grasped the content. And that's the idea that, because at the end of the day, as I said, I don't want you all to be stressed with this class, but what I want you all to do is to be able to actually, learn from it. But I know the way it's set up online, it will set up some pressure for you, but at the same time, the pressure will become insurmountable if you keep on delaying doing anything. So you need to be on top of everything, which is why I'm calling a session like this, just to make sure that people are moving forward and they're not waiting for me to tell them to do something. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it's really going to be your motivation. You will have to going to work through the content of the course. Anybody else has any questions they want to ask or clarification that they want to get?
So Natasha here.
Natasha.
In one of the videos or one of the I think it's in one of the textbooks, it had some questions to try after, but it didn't have the answers attached to it. And hence the reason why I ain't tried the quiz yet, because I'm not certain if for one of the questions, it was like if you work, you're getting 200 is a salary for hour, and then you could paint your own house. And what you think about, why would you prefer to hire somebody rather than paint it for yourself? So I was wondering if in answering you have to put the work in, you will get 16,000, 1,600 a day, as that's your income as to your expenditure. So in a week time, if somebody that actually specializes in the field, so I don't know if I'm wording it correct, so I'm afraid to attempt the quiz.
Well, what you have to look for is you have to look at what is the concept that question is asking about, and the concept.
I'm not specialized in painting, so I think.
Right, but not only that, what they're looking at there is the concept of opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm.
So, if what you have to look at is how much time would you have to give up to paint your house, and what else you could have done in relation to that.
Okay.
You understand? So every time you give up an hour, you give up $200.
Yeah.
And that therefore that if it takes you 5 hours now to paint the house, you would have given up $1,000 in possible income.
Mm-hmm.
Follow? So that means that would it make sense for you to hire somebody? Sorry, excuse me. Would it make sense for you to hire somebody to paint the house who might be charging you $100 an hour, or you know, if you understand what I mean, they might charge you they might charge you $1,000 to paint the house, and you're there. I mean, it makes sense that you stay and work. Because for the, as I said, to do all
Well,
that.
I think so too, but I was wondering, like, in terms of the terminology, if like I had some special terminology, because I was like, all right, based on my salary for 8 hours a day, 8 hour for 200 at 8 hours.
Which textbook was it that you were looking at that had that question?
Oh, I don't know. I think was the second reading with the notes, like at the end of it, where it gives you all the definitions, because it go on to get like the key terms mentioned in the chapter, and then it have the quiz at the end of it. I can't remember. I'll go back
to
see.
One, I think. Let me see. Well, actually, you're the first person that I've ever seen use these slogans.
So because it's new to me, so I just don't want to open, and because I realize it's such a terminology.
Well, remember, like any subject, what subject do you do? What subject do you do?
Say again?
What program are you studying?
Social work.
Right. So remember, in social work, you have a lot of jargon that is utilized to describe behaviors and that type of stuff. So the vocabulary of economics is specific as well. So that's why when we use the concept of opportunity cost, that is the cost of the next best alternative that we have, and how we use that. Do we use that to make decisions? How best to use my time and that kind of stuff. Looking at the chapter now, let me see if I see these questions that you're talking about. So the easier way for you to look at it is, what else could you be doing now instead of attending this class?
Working.
Sorry?
I would have been working. Well, I'm working, but I would have been actually pulling my shift now. My God, no.
All right. So the whole point about it is whether or not well, you're kind of trying to cheat it a little bit here, because you're supposed to be working, but because of the nature of your job, you're allowed some flexibility. All right. So that actually makes it easier for you to be in class.
But sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, be in class and be at work at the same time. For a lot of us, we can't do that.
No.
And the method that they utilize for that is to look at production possibility curves to see what's going to be happening there. I've still not seen this question. All right, that's now. I'll get to the end of the chapter. But if you want, you know what might actually be better? Let me try this. Fuss and see. Let's go back to, let's look at the quiz itself. So what I will do is I'll do a preview, right? So everybody can see the questions. So the questions are going to come up 1 to 10 on the same page. All right. And it will be questions related to the content from that thing. So each question is related to, so let's look at this here. We have 20 minutes to do it. So there's a little clock running us here. So Trinidad and Tobago has nationalized healthcare so that everyone, regardless of their ability to pay, has some access to healthcare. Based on this observation, TNT has decided that everyone, regardless of their ability to pay, is the answer to what microeconomic question? So you have to look at the options here. What type of healthcare will be provided in what quantity? Why will we offer healthcare? How will healthcare be produced? for whom will healthcare be produced? So what they're referring to here are the economic questions that any economic system has to answer. You all did that, right?
That's with choice and stuff.
No. Any economic system has to answer 5 questions. What to produce, how to produce it, and for whom.
Yes, yeah.
Remember that? So what
Yes,
question
sir.
is asked here? Now I'm not gonna answer the question, but the whole point. This is the nature of the questions, right? The question of how are goods and services produced most closely addresses which of the following issues. Select one. Why are Christmas trees popular only in Christmas? Should contractors building residential houses or shopping malls? What is wrong with this question? Should contractors build residential houses or shopping? This has to edit. Should Ford use expensive robots or inexpensive auto workers to produce cars? Or is income distributed fairly in the United States? So which of those questions there is related to how are goods and services produced? And the only one really is this one here. Should Ford use expensive robots or inexpensive auto workers to produce cars? When we come up here to this one, what question has been answered with Trinidad and Tobago's healthcare system is, for whom will healthcare be produced? You seeing that? Yes, and you can click on check and it'll check and let you know if you're right. But once you click on check, that's it. Because they can't change it anymore. All right, so this one here, is correct as well. But you see that microeconomics includes the study of what? Recessions and inflation, reasons why government charge interest rates, choices made by individuals and businesses, or aggregate effects on the national economy. Well, microeconomics is the study of the smallest elements of the economy. So the correct answer is C here, the choices made by individuals and business. Normative statements. You all went through this. Normative statements are what? Somebody tell me, what is a normative statement? Anybody remembers? A normative statement is something like an opinion, right? It's how we think something should be. So let's look at the choices we have here. Describe how the world is. Describe how the world ought to be. Depends on people's values and cannot be tested. So which of the following would make sense? Would it be 1 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 only, or 2 and 3? What do you all think? The choice is really going to be between C and D. 2 or 2 and 3 only. I think it's this one. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's based on people's opinions.
Yeah.
What shapes our opinions, our values, and so on. Statements. The statement that increases in tax on gasoline increase the price of gasoline is an example of a what statement? That's a positive statement because we can test it. Positive statements are facts, and facts are testable and verifiable. Not so? All right. So a normative statement can be tested as to whether it is true or false. It's considered negative, depends on a person's value. So what is the normative statement can't be tested. So we know that can't be the answer. So it's only going to be, it's not always negative, but it is dependent on people's values. So for this one, I think it's A, which is that one here. So let's see if that works. Yes, I'm right. Yes, I know my stuff. Economics is the social science that studies what? Whether a nation has enough natural resources, the reason people buy goods and services, the psychology of individuals and businesses, how people make choices to cope with scarcity. And we know from the very beginning, economics is the study of choice.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the answer for that. Then we go to question 8. Which branch of economics studies the decisions of the individual consumers and individual firms? And we know that is, well, we have macro, micro, positive, and normative. So we know positive and normative are not related,
To that.
right? So it'll be B.
Micro?
Micro, yeah. So economic theory aims to do what? Explain human behavior, criticize human behavior, change human behavior, or predict human behavior. What do you all think?
Is it to predict?
Let's see. Very good. Yes. Why not explain?
Because when you say explain, that means you are determining what the person is going to do. It's not factual as yet. Economics is just to show exactly what potentially could happen.
Correct. So it's prediction. Yes. So by looking at theory, what we do is we look at observed behavior, and that allows us to predict how people would respond. Good. The opportunity cost of a decision is measured in terms of what? Time, the price of a new opportunity that arises, the next best thing given up, the price of the alternative we choose. So what from your definition of opportunity cost gives you a response here?
The next best thing given up.
Given up. Yeah. So let's check that and see. Good to go. Look at that. Oh, we didn't check this one here. Well, what do you know? I should be doing this class. And look, I still have more than 11 minutes left to finish.
You had help, so that's why you had help.
I did. Okay. All right. So next time I have to do it all by myself, right? Okay. I had help. Thank you very much for your assistance, everybody. I noticed I only had 2 people though. But my point about it is don't be afraid to go and try a quiz. But I would always recommend look at the material and then look at then look at trying the quiz. That's why if you go to quiz 2 now, or well, quiz 4, this one here gives you 3 attempts again. And again, it's the highest grade possible. I'm not going to preview this one. All right. But remember, don't be afraid. The course, I've designed the course in a forgiving manner. So that way you could kind of get more than one try. That's one of the reasons why I want you all to do the forum discussion, because that gives you some feedback that you can get for your individual assignment. The article journal, you need to be checking with me in relation to that. And I'm going to be constantly up your tail about your group work, because I don't want last minute stuff coming up. I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to be insisting on seeing what people are doing and that kind of stuff. So the actual content you're on your own with, but I can track and see how people are going, because I get reports on when people do what. I get emails and stuff like that. So don't be afraid, anybody, with attempting to do anything. All right. The idea is that once you try it and it works, you have a second chance to do it again. All right. The design is to actually, help you learn, not to punish you. So don't be afraid. And if you find that, you want to get clarification on something, that's why you can communicate with me directly and ask me, hey, I don't understand this. I'm not quite getting this, which is why I'm calling and checking in with you guys to see, do you want me to go through any content with you just to make sure that you've gotten the idea? And it could be in a class session, or it could be one-to-one where we have a discussion with each other directly. It doesn't have to be with everybody. It could be one-to-one. The idea is I'm kind of like your personal tutor then. All right. And although I have other classes, I will put aside time to talk to you That's why you could WhatsApp me and ask me, questions about things. All right. Any questions? Well, now that you know well, I'm hoping you all understand and agree with me with the process that we're moving forward with. But everybody's okay with what they're seeing so far?
Yes, sir.
All right. So don't be afraid of
Okay.
interacting with the material. That's what I've tried to do with the PowerPoints is that I've tried to make the PowerPoints very concise, but also fairly detailed, so that the PowerPoint themselves can be the source of all primary information that you're looking at. But the nature of the questions, though, will tend to, really try to test whether or not you've understood it. So they're not just, some of the questions are what we call level 1 type questions, for those of you who know about scaffolding questions for multiple choice. So some of the questions are level 1 where it's just simply knowledge recall, but a lot of the questions will ask you to interpret things a little bit. All right? But don't be afraid of it. Go and do it. All right? So, anybody has anything else they want to ask or question me about? I'll get clarification on. No? Yes, Damien.
No, sir, I'm good, sir. I just want to say I'm good, thanks.
All right. Damien, you have a better idea what you have to do, right?
Yeah, perfect. Because now that as you're gonna post the information regarding what chapters to read, actually while I'm listening to you,
That'll take me a little while to do because I'll have to go back to some older documents. That's one of the reasons that I don't like the current course outline, because it should be in the course outline. We had to make some change. Specific. Sorry about that, guys. I seem to have lost my connection there for a moment. You okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody's back? All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
what I was saying is that it'll take me a little while to get the readings on the system, Damien. And it's one of the reasons why I made the PowerPoint so comprehensive, because it's going to cover everything you need for that unit. That makes sense?
yeah, so it makes sense.
Because it's gonna, what happened? We had a change in the course outline structure, and the readings were taken off the current structure, and I always found that was a bit problematic for me when we were doing it over. But I will pull back some of the data from the older ones and put it on the e-classroom. All right? Yeah, give me some time for that. All right. Any other questions? Anybody wants to ask? Clarification, or just because they want to ask? No? Yes? All right. So let me stop the recording.